All right, fellas, and it looks like we're live and ready to go here. How's it going, everyone? And welcome. I hope you're all doing well and having a fantastic weekend. This is Invader, and welcome to the Xbox Roundtable Podcast. This is episode number 182, your place on Sundays for Xbox talk and much more from around the game industry. There's quite a bit to discuss tonight. There's been an uproar over BioMutant's resolution. The PS5 version is seeing a disparity over its Xbox Series X and S counterparts. As well, we got further confirmation of Xbox and Bethesda having a combined E3 showcase. Also, it looks like WB Games is on the chopping block again. Will Xbox take another look at their studios? Well, you know what? We'll give you our thoughts on that and so much more. But you know what, guys? We got a really, really good show planned for you tonight. And you know what? We got with us tonight a couple of really passionate gamers and YouTubers. First up here is a guy who's been involved with the gaming community for quite some time. He took a little bit of time off from what I understood, but now he's back on the scene with us. He's a passionate Xbox content creator. Please welcome with us GeneralMLD. How you doing, bud?
Doing pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Good stuff.
I mean, I've done a few podcasts before, and I'm always up for this kind of stuff. Live talking with people, talking about ideas. That's what it's all about. Happy to be here.
Well said, buddy. Well said. Up next, we have with us, also joining us, is a fellow Xbox fan and content creator. Everyone welcome Serrjn. How's things at your end, bud?
Things are good. Like talking about Xbox and just thought, hey, thanks for having me on the show. So we're just ready to get into it and just talk about the stuff that you've got lined up today.
Totally, brother, totally. All right, we'll move over to the TXR crew next. And Serrjn, buddy, hey, what's happening?
What is up, my fellow family? How have you guys been? It is time to talk about Xbox and have some fun.
Fun? What's that?
That stuff where we all sit around the campfire, sing Kumbaya, and actually talk about how great gaming is and how we can all enjoy it no matter where we play games, especially in today's day and age where it's becoming more accessible than ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I saw your tweets earlier. I think I know what you were getting on about.
Okay, so this morning I couldn't sleep. I woke up and decided to hang out on the Twitter street corners and, preach to the masses. And I made a new friend for a little while, and then I logged off.
All right. Well, yeah, that's what happens when you interact on Twitter. Sometimes you attract the weirdos. But, say la vie. All right, moving up here, Shockley, buddy. Hey, what have you been up to lately?
Not much. Finally finished Resident Evil 8. That was a pretty sick game. Definitely had some RE4 vibes. So, but yeah, that was definitely one of the better ones I played in recent memory. Really some creepy. Some of probably the most creepiest like imagery in that game. And now I'm moving on to Mass Effect 1. I never played 2 or 3. I know that's sacrilegious, but I almost finished. I played Mass Effect 1 back in like 2007 when it dropped. I got like to the very end and somehow, I don't know, something I dropped off. Probably I started BioShock or something. But I'm about to finish this one, so moving on to what I hear is like the holy grail of like their, BioWare's pinnacle with Mass Effect 2. So looking forward to starting that one soon.
Is this your first time playing them?
It will be for 2 and 3. Like I thought that was hype for Mass Effect 1. Like when they first showed early screenshots.
You're in for a treat, man.
Oh. Dude, yeah. I actually envy you, man.
Can I ask, at the time when these games came out, what were you playing instead?
I was playing a lot of Gear. What year did Mass Effect 2 drop? Was that 2009?
That's a good question.
I'm just trying to think what else.
I want 08, 07 at the earliest, 08.
07, 08, somewhere around there.
Well, yeah. I played because I bought Mass Effect 1 like day one. and I got very close to the end, because I was like on the right before the last mission or something. But I think that's where I went back to BioShock, finished that one, and something probably dropped. I don't know, Dead Space or something the next year. And then I just didn't, since I didn't finish the first one, I didn't want to start the second one yet. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'll finish the first one first before I move on. And then I just never did. And then, so that's why I didn't start 2 and 3.
Are you playing that game like with surround sound or like a headset on at least?
Yeah.
Okay, man. Because that game had some of the most best music. I mean, just like the epicness of the music, and also just going into the nightclubs and the battle scenes. I mean, that game really is meant for surround sound or a headset.
Oh, yeah. So you were completely unfazed by the 96 on Metacritic that I got back then. You just kind of said, no, I'm too high.
It was please. I probably did want to play it, but at that time, I was just like, hey, I got to finish the first one first to carry over my character from what I heard back then. Because you could, I guess, carry over your save to 2 and 3 on the Xbox. So I was just like, well, I'll finish that one first. And I just, I felt like I had to finish that first game first before I could start the second one. That's what kind of like probably stopped me. If I finished the first one, I probably would have jumped in the second one, because there wouldn't have been anything like holding me back or something that I feel like I had to finish first before I started.
I feel like a game like Mass Effect.
Full attention.
Yeah,
you got to give it your complete full attention. You can't get sidetracked by anything.
Midnight Club, because that just dropped on. It was delisted. It came back just recently, and I picked that up, and I was like, how did I never play this? And I was like, oh, that's because Dead Space dropped that same month, and there's some other games. So it's like, oh, that's why I never played it, because there's so many great. Remember
Mass Effect,
like 07, 08, 09, those years were like full of like huge releases for that gen. So
there was no other games like even on the peripheral when those games came out. Like it was the be all end all of Xbox games at the time.
Oh yeah,
2007 was like one of the golden years of Xbox 360.
Oh, yeah. Classic.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But yeah, hopefully, I'm about to finish the first one finally. It's amazing how like it took me towards like halfway through this one where it's like, oh, I can attach all these other like mods to your weapons that like melt certain enemy types. Like I just wasn't digging enough into the some of those mods yet. So
see, with not completing Mass Effect, I feel like Mass Effect is a game you need to complete before you move on to another one of them, because of the decision. Some of the more massive decisions you make that affect the other games generally take place at the end of the first game.
Yeah, that's why I felt like I couldn't start 2, even though everybody was like moving on or picking up that game at the time, because I was entrenched in 360 at that time, so it would have been on my radar. But I was just like, okay, well, let me finish that one, and I just like never got myself to finish the first one. That was my issue.
Yeah, now everybody, Tim Dog's running a little behind. He should be here in about 10-15 minutes. Southbound, hey buddy, how you been?
Whoa. Yes, sir. I am. You know what? I've been all right, and I had to sneak in through. You know how I do every now and then. But yeah, man. We're talking about Mass Effect, man. It's just, oh God, it gives me the goosebumps even just thinking about it. And I envy you for trying it for the first time, because I remember my first time, but seriously, oh man, to be able to do it all in one shot, back to back. Oh God, I wish I had that opportunity.
All right. Just a reminder, guys, you can find us on all kinds of different podcasting platforms, audio platforms, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. We're everywhere. Just search TXR for the TXR on the go. All right, guys, let's start off by going into this whole BioMutant business. A few days ago, THQ Nordic released gameplay for the upcoming BioMutant running on the PlayStation 5. The game was running at 1080p, 60 frames per second, with a disclaimer that 4K was disabled for stability and performance-related reasons. And you know what? Because of this, there has been a lot of chatter across various social media and gaming news outlets. You know, there's a lot to pick up here, and I'll start off with one of our guests here. General MLD, I'll go to you first. What's your thoughts on this whole kind of situation, bud? Because I seem to remember game resolution being a big deal at the start of the last gen consoles.
Oh yeah, this is like the perfect like role reversal. It's a pretty funny situation if you know the context. I mean, what? I mean, back in the day, what resolution mattered? Like, and now look, 1080p to 4K native. Like, we've had these things before in the generation when backwards compatible enhanced games release, and Xbox always gets a little bit better. But this was like the one example that could not be ignored anymore. Like, it really brought the conversation to the table as to how each company handles backwards compatible enhancements. So just seeing the role reversal and all that stuff. I mean, the people I tend to talk to on Twitter, they tend to be a little more, very very passionate about this kind of stuff. And you notice some patterns, you notice some narratives. It's funny. A lot of people say now they'll wait for the native version, right, which is coming sometime in the future. So they're skipping the game on PlayStation because it's only 1080p. But then the ironic thing is that they cheerlead games like Returnal that are 1080p upscaled as well. So it's just fun. It just opened this whole chatter of narratives and the past coming like again, like you said, in 2013, how old narratives are coming to the forefront and goalposts are shifting. I mean, this game was known, I mean, to me beforehand. Like I knew it was some kind of open world kind of game, like with like furry creatures, that kind of stuff. It was intriguing to me, but now it's like it got on everyone's radar for just like the wrong reasons, I would say. Like people are talking about this more than the game itself, but at least now the game's gained exposure, and those who didn't really know about it are looking at it and seeing if it's right for them. So I'm seeing the silver lining there. But overall, it's just really funny with the whole the narratives and all that stuff. But at least Xbox is on top for this time around. That's how I see it.
I'm just jealous. Whoever is gonna be their first time checking it out and experiencing it. Oh man, I'm so jealous because, like I said earlier, man, to be able to experience the whole thing, front to back to front, up and down, left and right. I mean, all the side missions and just, oh my goodness gracious, like, I just, because there ain't too many games that just stick with you, and when anybody ever asks me, oh, what's your top 10, whatever, this is it. I mean, all three games are in my top 10.
Talking about Mass Effect.
I was very confused. I thought BioMutant had a trilogy. I was so confused there. Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, definitely. No, because you know what, and one of the reasons were is because the second one, like, flat out made me cry, like ugly cry, and and for a while I was sitting there like, damn, what the hell's wrong with me? You big old wimp, you know what I mean?
Okay.
But like,
okay.
Hey, it is what it is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. But like going on to BioMutant though, guys. Like, there's this whole thing again about the resolution, and it's just weird. Like, somebody in the chat had mentioned, what was it? That Sniper Contracts 2, for example. There's another resolution fiasco going on with that. Shock, I know you were talking about it a bit before the show started. Could you please discuss what that's all about?
Oh, for the Sniper game?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, apparently, yeah, because I just read their press release again. Yeah, apparently that so all the versions are releasing PS4, Xbox, PC, Series S and X version, but I guess they're also delaying the PS5 version. So it's only going to be played through, I guess, backwards compatibility mode if you want to play it on the PS5. And so that's let me see if I pull that back up. So I think I didn't read up on the resolution on that one. Just that one's not going to get a native version right now. They're working on it, but I guess they had to delay that. Not sure why, or if it's the same issue that the BioMutant devs were having. But yeah, that one's kind of odd too. So I don't know if it's the same issue or this is a different issue that this dev's having. So it's just weird because it's all kind of mounting up all at the same time from like basically at least two, or I guess if you count the Mass Effect one. But I think that one's just because they didn't program the PS4 Pro to have the ability to do 120. So when they're using the backwards compatibility mode, they can't just automatically do it by itself. Because people are saying like, hey, they're doing some extra feature for them. I'm like, no, the feature's already on the One X. It's just the One X isn't powerful enough to do 120 for Mass Effect. So the capability's already on the last gen console. So they're just moving that same software operating system that has the capability, and it's not a Series X version. So they're just, hey, it has the power and it's working on the same version that has the capability. That's why it does 120. It's not like some special thing that EA's like, got a money back from Microsoft for it. Like, no, it's just that's what was on the last gen version. So, I don't think it's that one. So I think it's just these two devs, maybe. But that's two. So
I'm going to be able to experience this for the first time. So, you know what I mean? So it's pretty exciting to think about it myself.
I mean, that said, though, I think you also got to make an argument that, I mean, Xbox, I think Microsoft, they've been planning this kind of infrastructure since as early as 2015. I mean, I think they were just more forward planning and forward thinking with this kind of stuff. I think they expected this kind of stuff to happen. They just made it easier. Whereas I think Sony, I don't think they were really planning too much about the BC stuff like Microsoft is. And I think it shows in games like, Mass Effect and now BioMutant. It's just easier with Xbox. The infrastructure is just there. Can't be ignored anymore.
And it's funny because I hear people say like, oh, well, they were thinking about like next gen stuff. And I'm like, well, in the first couple of years, it tends to be a lot of last gen stuff. And with COVID being a thing, even though you had the last consoles where you did have the next gen version for Xbox One, for Battlefield, Assassin's Creed, you had all of that. But with COVID, it's kind of limiting some of these, maybe not. You'll be fine on the big AAAs, Call of Duty. They'll be fine. They'll get their next gen version out the door, so you won't have the issue with those games. But some of these smaller, like they said, they're not AAA for BioMutant. They're AA. There's 20 devs, I hear. They have to make some choices. So they only have so many resources. So when it's like, hey, well, Xbox made it easy on the backwards compatibility issue, or because they don't even have the next gen version ready for. Like, they're kind of in the same situation with the other devs are, but because they don't have the next gen version ready for BioMutant for either console. But obviously, the backwards compatibility software that they have with Xbox, they got that down pat. So when they got to make a choice and they're stuck of like, hey, do we just delay the game? No, they can't do it because they got to get some sales in before they finish some resources on the next gen version. So that's where some of these smaller, not giant devs or ones that have huge backing, like maybe if EA was a publisher, not THQ Nordic, then they'd be probably fine. But they don't have unlimited funds coming in the door to make that happen. So that's what it all comes down to, is just resources. So with COVID still being a thing and slowing down half the work, that's where they're gonna have to cut, make some of these cuts. So I mean, Sony couldn't really foresee that portion of it. But it's just something that they unforeseen, and it's just mounting up. So maybe this is just two, but with how everything's lingering, it could start mounting up for quite a few different AA games here in the next year or two until we're fully out of this thing. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
If we're out of it, please stay bad.
Yeah. And you know what? Like you guys were alluding to and talking about, it's just amazing to see where we're starting to really see the fruits of Microsoft's investment in the backwards compatibility program, because they had worked in the middle, like actually more so early on last gen, and BioMutant, like you guys were saying, it's not a native to current gen consoles, so we're playing through this backwards compatibility, and it's just amazing what they're able to do with it. Again, if 4K 60 frames, it's amazing. And then you got Sony with the PS5, they're only at 1080p. Like, it's amazing with the technology what they're able to do right now, and the kudos to Microsoft for the backwards compatibility program at this point. Serrjn, I know that you're really interested in BioMutant. How does this news kind of play to you?
Oh, for me, I knew as soon as I saw this news come out, I was like, oh man, everybody's gonna be blowing off the whatever they used to count blades of grass back in the day. Here we go again. I it's one of those things where I feel glad to be an Xbox gamer, but I have loved everything about this game since the first time I read the first article. And I knew that this was going to give this game a lot of eyes and attention. Hey, I guess any publicity is good publicity, but I wanted people to recognize this game for it's actually a very unique game. It's going to be a fun game. If you're going to rob yourself of an experience over resolution, I really don't know what to say. I understand that, you always want to feel like you're getting that premium experience, but at the same time, you got to remember that there is a lot more people out there that really don't care. They're wanting to try some new experiences, and I really am looking very forward to this game. And it's going to be one of those things where I am completely happy, smiling ear to ear, because I'm an Xbox gamer and I'm going to be playing this game in native 4K. But I'm also not going to be out there going, ha ha, he he. It's regrettable that I actually liked what our guest actually had to say, that we see how easy it is for Xbox and the hardware they made to get games to run at a resolution like this a lot easier than the competition. Man, it just goes to show why Xbox definitely knows how to design a really nice piece of hardware, but at the end of the day, they're a software manufacturer, and the things they really know how to do over there are awesome, and we're benefiting from that now.
Yeah, well said. Yeah.
Well said. Tim, hey buddy, see you made it.
Yeah, I made it. Unfortunately, I forgot today was the Knicks playoff games, and I go with my friends to watch the game, so they just freaking blew it. But happy to be here. Great panel. South, I see you're here. Also,
Timmy Dog. What's up, my brother?
Ghost and how do you pronounce that? Zagiri?
Oh,
Serrjn. Okay,
Yeah, just search.
Yeah, up and coming people. Well, Ghost, I could tell you that he's a legend. Back in the day, he's a content creator. He's very entertaining. One of the first YouTubers to be on the scene way before anybody was. And Serrjn is just getting himself started on YouTube, and he really has really good content. So, take a follow on these guys, and we're gonna have a good show.
You're too kind. Go on.
Mm-hmm. he said, keep going.
Yeah. Now, Timmy, what we saw this whole BioMutant thing kind of drop a couple of days ago. It's amazing what the whole resolution business goes. Remember back 2013 and 14 about the whole Blades of Grass thing and GTA, and now we're seeing all these things pop up about resolution on the PS5, whether it be about BioMutant, Sniper, the Contracts 2, and so on. Man, it's really a different tale starting this gen, huh?
Yeah, I think kudos to Xbox. Their backwards compatibility is flawless. They from what I'm told, the reason why Sony cannot get these games, these backwards compatibility games to higher resolutions and stuff like that, It's simply because the API doesn't allow it for it to recognize playing a PlayStation 4 game. So basically, you can't add the added power. You can't put the added horsepower. You're just going to be able to run, what you could. Otherwise, you're going to run the Pro version. With that being said, kudos to Xbox for just always being ahead. I don't think it's a big deal. And I think people are also misconstruing, thinking that it's more of a power thing. It's more of a software thing, as we explained. But I think it's credit due to Xbox. I mean, I don't want to have to wait, for a patch if I could play this game right away, 4K 60, and the difference is pretty big. And at the end of the day, gamers in general just go crazy over this stuff, and we tend to blow it out of proportion. And I think that's what happened here. But on the flip side, I think it did BioMutant well. It's selling very well. And at first I heard some bad reviews, but now I'm hearing the game's really good. So looking forward to it. I'm going to buy it.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah, no, it does look like a pretty solid title, and honestly, I can't wait to give it a shot too. I mean, it's coming out in a time frame where there's quite a few games kind of dropping. The Hired Gun game, BioMutant. We got Mech Warrior also dropping into Game Pass soon, and a whole bunch of others. It's it's a pretty exciting time with all this content coming. Too much to game, so no, just exciting times, guys. You know what? We'll move on to. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was going to say. Yeah, I was just going to say a few things about the whole BioMutant.
Oh, go right ahead, my friend. Go right ahead.
Thing. I think it's more a case of a lot of PlayStation fans have snookered themselves in the sense that because in the PlayStation 4 generation, they've had to keep talking about resolution this, resolution that, graphics this, graphics that, and it's hard for them to change lanes without undermining PlayStation as a brand, which they can't do physically. They really it makes them retch if they have to start doing that. So with BioMutant, most people don't. I think in general they wouldn't care if BioMutant was only on PlayStation 5 and not on Xbox. They wouldn't care about the resolution, as evidenced by Returnal. Returnal has an internal resolution of 1080p, and they don't care about that. No, they don't care about that. In actual fact, I think a lot of PlayStation fans secretly wish that the game was coming to Xbox Returnal, just so that they could gauge whether it's a power thing or if it's just a bad development thing. Because if it was also 1080p on the Xbox Series X, then they could say, look, it's 1080p on the Xbox Series X, and then they can talk, and then they can do that.
It's funny you say that because there's no Xbox version. I'm seeing a select few people, they use the medium with the 900p as a default comparison. But I'm thinking to myself, it's dual rendering 900p. That beats 1080p any day. But that's what I usually say.
And I think, but I think I learned one thing that I was looking at last year, because I remember just before. So when the Xbox Series X was announced to have 12 teraflops, whatever, the most important, the thing that I was keeping an eye on was, I wonder where the narrative's going to go now if the PlayStation 5 is not more powerful in terms of teraflops. And I have to say, I was very, very surprised because it's now at a point where you've got a lot of people who enjoy PlayStation, who are, I guess, avid fanboys of PlayStation, who don't have a problem consistently changing lanes, being captured in 4K, not Returnal, but them being captured in 4K, and being seen online that hey, I'm here for resolution. I love my resolution. It's the most important thing to me. And then when the PlayStation 5 gets beaten on resolution, they then switch to frames per second, and it's gotten to the point where they just do not care right now. And I was always very curious where it was going to go with regards to that. So this BioMutant thing, I'm getting less and less surprised the more news starts coming out, because at first it was kind of entertaining to see where PlayStation fans were going to dance to next. But now, because they just keep they've it's kind of they've got no shame. They just say,
There's no more
okay,
fact checking.
yeah, okay, it's got a higher resolution. It doesn't bother us. Oh, by the way, the medium. And I'm just thinking the medium's not even from a first party studio of Xbox, and it's so kind of going to the medium is a sort of last resort thing, and that's why you're seeing people really, really ramp up their disdain for Xbox. You got Jim Ryan seething because he found out that Housemarque borrowed the Xbox Series X dev kit from the guys at Sony San Diego just so that they could play Returnal in 4K 60 frames per second. That's a joke, but but it's
Go ahead.
no. That was it. It's
I do think that Sony fans did put a premium on resolution, and we all remember that. And not only did they put a premium on resolution, the media got behind it, and the beginning of this generation or last generation, I mean, that's all that was talked about. That Overdrive would come out, 900p would be talked about. Rise at the launch, unbelievable looking game. Nobody talked about that. They talked about the resolution. So it is kind of in their wheelhouse to kind of get some flack for this. They did put such a premium on resolution. I mean, it was such to a point that Nielsen did I don't know if you guys remember that, they did a survey, and the most important thing to the Sony fan was resolution.
yeah. Well, because
number one need.
And I think they've forgotten how to enjoy a game just on its own merits. They can't enjoy a game unless the media is singing praises for that game and across the board. It has to have 4K, 60 frames per second, great graphics, amazing story, great gameplay. And if it's not if it's not shooting on all those cylinders, if it's not firing on all those cylinders, they can't enjoy the game. Then they can't be seen to be enjoying the game because that's what they kept parroting last generation. So for me, it's a miserable way to enjoy games. It's just, look, whatever the game's internal resolution is, I don't care. I enjoy the game for the game. That's what I enjoy it for. I don't care if someone like Digital Foundry is just, oh yeah, by the way, did you know that it's at 900p? I'm really not bothered as long as I'm enjoying the game, to be honest. But they can't be seen enjoying that in public. So, and this is why this BioMutant thing has wounded them, because it's not just because it's low resolution on PlayStation 5. It's a low resolution on PlayStation 5 compared to the Series X, and that bothers them. That bothers them the most, more than anything. And they can't enjoy the game for that reason alone. That's why. So
I like the way you
so
think. Great. That's a great opinion.
Yeah.
No, that's absolutely well said, like General was saying. And, it's amazing, too, because I never used to be a resolution guy, but it got, like, trumped up so much during, the past, 7-8 years. And I don't necessarily, I'm not one of those guys who always constantly pushes resolution. I'm more about, what can be done in game with, like, AI, different physics and so on. But, like different gaming outlets and so on made it so that resolution was this benchmark for gaming. And now, that's what everybody talks about, and it's stuck in everybody's head. I mean, obviously, Xbox guys, we're not going to forget that, right? So, of course, we're going to bring it up.
I'm going to say that I'm going to blame Xbox and Microsoft for this, because it's just a little bit of a segue. I feel that when they were talking about the whole power thing, they left a power vacuum to dictate what is a next-gen looking game. So we started with how good Hellblade looked, and then now the concept of next-gen. And I remember when Digital Foundry were talking about Horizon Forbidden West, and they said that the game looked really next-gen. And I remember looking at Forbidden West and thinking, the lighting, it looks good, but the lighting looks a little flat here. I'm not getting next-gen vibes from this. or what should be considered next gen. So now there's this huge power vacuum for what determines is a next gen game, because nobody really knows what it is. It's the same with ray tracing, right? Ray tracing is just any shiny surface is that ray tracing. That's how people are. So because of all of that, there's no way to determine what's good and what's bad. So people just kind of go with what's been tried and tested in the PlayStation 4 generation, and that is what's good is graphics and whatever and resolution, and that's why they're sticking to it until obviously they have to change lanes. So yeah. Sorry, segue over.
No, hey man, that's good, and I really appreciate your commentary there, because a lot of us feel the same way, and again, it's just you look at the Series X and S and the amount of brute force power that it has, and hey, you know what, it looks like it's early on it's going to be coming up on top, and Microsoft spared no expense into developing these consoles. So, hey man, this is just the beginning. Okay, guys, I will move us over to some other bit of news, and it looks like we're going to be hearing about Xbox's E3 plans quite a bit soon. During an interview with French outlet Le Figaro, director of Xbox Game Studios, Matt Booty, revealed that Xbox and Bethesda will be having a joint conference to discuss their future projects. Now, when you think of the combined studio content of Xbox Game Studios and Bethesda, that's a lot of content there. Now, Serrjn, how do you feel of the news of this joint show? Do you think that it could drag on too long? Or, hey, you know what? That's just more content. The more the merrier.
I always want to say, hey, more content, more the merrier, because at the end of the day, you can always go back and rewatch a show. I'm never even able to watch a majority of these things live. Now, E3 happens to be one of the ones I can tune in for. And so I guess, yeah, I would just love a 3-hour marathon. But I know that it has to be done right. Also, you got to definitely keep it entertaining. So I don't really see Microsoft wanting to do something like that for sure. We're probably, in my mind, we might just see like an hour of what Microsoft has been doing and an hour of what Bethesda has been doing. All I know is that we're going to see a lot of great games. We're going to kind of see the next 2 years. I know everybody's hanging on the whole Starfield thing because of all the other crazy stuff and all the God. How does anybody want to? How would you describe the situation with the reveal of kind of like how Starfield possibly coming out in 2022? I mean, I couldn't believe that. I have to agree with everybody that says that it's not going to, because it's going to come out against Halo Infinite and a bunch of other big games. So it really fits better for it to come out in 2022. I'm just looking forward to what they're ready to show us, and it's going to be a really good show. I really hope they kind of let Todd Howard kind of have the stage, because I've always loved Todd Howard's stage presence. I wonder if they're going to make him keep it a little bit more PG this time and not let him cuss as much, which was one of the reasons why I like Todd Howard, is because he's all up on stage just cussing. But definitely it's
that was written in
Todd Howard, he's amazing. He commands, he most electrifying man. He's amazing, he's done his due, and he deserves it for whatever he's done in his career. I mean, the respect is given because he's deserved it and he's earned it.
So
Isn't he one of your biggest guys? Because I remember when Fallout 4 came out, you were like, you wouldn't leave your house. You just kept playing the game.
Yeah. Because remember, I was when Phil introduced me to Todd Howard, and I was starstruck. And normally I don't get starstruck, but when it came to Todd Howard, I was completely starstruck. And I remember talking to him about the game, and and I'd already started it, and it was before the game came out. And I'll just never forget the way he looked at Phil, as if Phil gave me a copy of the game. And Phil looked back at me and goes, "Hey, don't look at me, bro. I didn't do it." And so, of course, I had to explain to him, no, it wasn't Phil. He didn't give me the game. I got through other means, but it was funny. But yeah, you remember Timmy? I was sprung.
Yeah, no, he is a big guy. And, as far as the E3, maybe we'll get some info tomorrow. I mean, it's getting close.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be nice.
Yeah, it would be nice. Hey Tim, what do you think about this whole like Starfield release date kind of? A whole bunch of different people, a whole bunch of like either journalists, insiders, people who should be in the know. They're mixing up all these different dates. Oh, it's at the end of 2021. Oh, now it's early 2022. What do you think's going on there?
Well, I honestly hate to say it. I think Jason is sounding like the one that has the real lead, and I say that because there was a time where I had heard internally, and then I had even talked to journalists about it internally that they're gunning for 2021. Now that could have been something that Microsoft is pushing out because the people that kind of had ideas of it, who had very good past with this stuff, probably would have gotten their info from Microsoft. And Jason, on the other hand, nobody likes him at Microsoft because he's not a popular guy for various reasons. But what I think happened is he went to a Starfield dev, or he got some type of inside information to somebody who's actually making the game. And he got more concrete information because, as if you notice, like a lot of the influencers and a lot of the journalists, they all tempered back and they were like, "Oh well, it is 2022 now, and I'm hearing this and that." But shout out to the people that were making those predictions on 2021. That was indeed what was going around in the inner circles and the stuff that a lot of like people know, and the little information that's usually correct. And people
No,
that
hey Timmy, to interrupt you for a second, but remember, and this actually goes out to everybody. Remember, in the past, before being acquired by Microsoft, it'd be about 6 months prior to games coming out. There'd be all kinds of information leaked. And right now, it's not getting leaked like it used to be.
and probably because of COVID, probably because people aren't in social settings like they are. 100%, you're right. And who knows? But I feel like it's going to be 2022.
I'd hate to blame it on COVID itself.
But I'm saying like
itself.
the reason why people are getting real like the rumor breaks is because everyone's home. You know what I mean? Like people aren't
Right.
talking as readily as they used to be. I mean, you and me both know this. At this time, we would be jumping up and down talking about E3, saying when am I coming over and what are we doing, playing. Right now, there's no talk at all. There's like E3 is dead on a social side because we're not going to be showing up. Hopefully next year we get E3. I think it will come, and we'll be back. As fans together, we'll meet up again. But aside from that, it's just a different feel overall. And my point is that the guys that were saying 2021, it was because that's what they were hearing. So maybe some Microsoft leads were given some erroneous information. And Jason, honestly, he nailed it down and he got the right info. But at the end of the day, as we spoke about last week, probably better off having Starfield sit alone and not with Halo. Maybe give Halo a chance to really have its own space, and it makes sense that
Yeah,
they
but
could do a little bit better.
hater or love him, you know what? He when it came to Bethesda, he always had a good he always had a good plug when it came to Bethesda because he came up with legit info, and so
Yeah, it's just like I said. I honestly think it's 2022 holiday, and I think that we'll find out about that. I do think that we will see Todd on the floor, and I do think that they're gonna show gameplay and they're gonna announce a game. I think we'll be very happy because, like I said, this is a game that South wouldn't leave his house for. He was, I think, he was.
Yeah, I think
remember,
Maddie from Defining Duke, he was saying that from what they were hearing, the people that were saying like maybe 2021, maybe early 2022 was like maybe the Microsoft people, and then people that Jason was hearing from were maybe developers saying, kind of like with the
exactly
what was it, Cyberpunk. Like you kept hearing like, hey, we're gonna release the game in April. And that's what the publisher's saying, but like the devs are saying, like there's no way in hell. So that's probably why
now
two different sources. One saying this and one saying the other. Because there was a lot of sources that from what Maddie was hearing, what from Jeff was hearing. They were hearing from like probably the same people from Microsoft saying that, hey, the game's going to be 2021. Looking at.
Well, they want Halo to give its own wide berth, and that's they should, they need to give. Go ahead.
Sorry. I mean, no. If you finish first.
No. I just like I said, Halo needs to have its own big opening window by itself, and it needs its due diligence, and they need to give Halo its respect that it's due.
Yeah. I don't think
it's so much more than that.
I don't think they'd be worried too, but because they've released Halo right next to Fallout, like months before Fallout 5 or Fallout 4. Sorry.
Right, and now they don't need to.
The next, one from Todd Howard, it'd be releasing just like they did, back in 2015.
Well, I think there's a lot of combinations though. Like for example, we're gonna be supply constrained until they say mid 2022. So I mean, as great as Halo and Starfield would be in the same holiday quarter, I mean,
still going to be sold out.
If there's only so much Xboxes to go around, I mean, it won't have the maximum impact. I mean, sure, a lot of people will get on Steam or even stream it if they have to on xCloud, but I think the most damage it can do, Starfield, is 2022. And if they can get another year's worth of polish into it, all the better. I mean, that said, I mean, it'd be nice if it was 2021. That'd be like the almost overkill. But I mean, off the top of my head, though, you got Halo Infinite. I firmly believe Forza Horizon 5 will be announced and released this year because usually Horizon games they are announced released in the same year. Then there's Stalker 2, The Gunk, Exomecha, Crossfire X, Age of Empires 4. Yeah. I think their holiday is pretty stacked, like as
and
it is.
Bethesda's gonna have something. Like they weren't relying just on Deathloop to get them through the year on one platform, like PC and PS5. That was not what they're going to release something probably this year. I can almost guarantee they're probably going to announce something because that's how they do. They release it and like, hey, it's coming out 6 months from when we just first showed it off. So I'm sure
it goes back to what I was saying. Normally, by now, we would already heard something, or we would have had a big chunk of the story, or what to expect.
Well, look, Bethesda, right now, they keep it close to the chest until, kind of like with Fallout, like Fallout 4. We didn't see a glimpse of that game until.
No. When it comes to Bethesda themselves releasing the info, they wait till the very last second, but the leaks would happen months and months prior, and then it'd be like, the leaks were correct.
But we are getting Starfield leaks, though. Mm-hmm. I mean, some leaks have been coming out.
They're showing some screenshots from old build.
Yeah,
they've always been very good. I agree with what's being said. They've always been good at keeping their mouth shut. And I do think that they have stuff. I do know that there was there might have been a little politics that they maybe wanted to go alone and have their own show, and Xbox was like, you know what, let's make this all-in-one show. Why not? And I think that they
I still think that Bethesda deserves their own show. They're just too big of a devs to share.
I mean, we went to them. I mean, they rivaled Xbox and E3s.
Most definitely.
Well,
I remember me and you. We were up in. We were hanging out. I think with the Microsoft guy. One of our friends, Will, and we were watching it on. Remember, we were watching it in his room. We were watching Fallout.
Yeah.
And talking about
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Oh my God! But you know, it's
Yeah,
still
Mr. Tuttle.
how Bethesda and Xbox they came
Well,
together.
and that's why I say I think that Bethesda, deserves their own show, and it's kind of a tightrope to walk, but Bethesda's just too big of a dev to
I
not
think they
have
will
their
probably
I
do
know
their
what
own show. It'd probably just be grouped together.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, what will probably happen, South, is that they will have their own show.
it'd just be back to back.
Yeah.
They have to. Yeah, they have to.
I don't know if it'll be 3 hours though, because that might be a little too much.
Oh yeah.
But I think the joint
No, it'd be
conference is
separate days or different.
no, it'd be the same day.
They'd have to have a big gap in between both shows.
Oh,
They should just-
unless it's like 1 hour for a total of 2 hours, because usually these shows are like
Yeah.
individually are like what, hour and a half. But my
Yeah.
personal opinion,
Yeah.
a joint conference is necessary because I think a lot
Really?
we're all in our
I
own
don't
bubbles.
know.
It's branding. That's
Yeah,
that's
they
why.
want to drive.
I would say now
Bethesda.
this
It's
is
just
my
Xbox. It's not just the Bethesda show. Like, and they're coming to PlayStation.
Just
They want to drive
Todd
it home.
Howard on Phil Spencer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it is now that obviously I'm nobody, but me personally, I would let say Xbox get their big show, and of course they're gonna like they normally did. They'd show off like Star Fox or whatever, and then let
Star Fox.
let Ubisoft have their show, and then Bethesda get their show going.
Well, that was the original thing that I heard. That was the way they wanted to go originally. And I do think, though, and somebody, I think, Serrjn said branding, and that makes sense too, because I think what happened is they were going to go that route, and then they said, no, we want to have it all as looked into one inclusive deal for pretty much the brand. They don't want people to think
They don't want to separate it. Yeah, I get it, but I definitely think that there's just like I said, it's just Bethesda is too big of a brand and dev themselves.
I mean, the thing is that what I think is going to happen is that now their portion, which was usually monumental, people would come and get their tickets and wait on days for their tickets. And I remember we went to all the Bethesdas. I mean, you went to every one, I think.
Yeah, pretty much.
They ran a really good show. Pete Hines was unbelievable.
Oh yeah. Uncle Pete, man, great guy, amazing guy.
So, but now I don't know if they're going to be a little watered down. Probably will be. But at the end of the day, it's really about what they have.
The only way I see it happening if they do it at the same time as the Xbox is if they tone down on the indie portion of the Xbox show.
Yeah.
They'd have to take a big chunk of the indie, unfortunately.
Yeah. Which they could do on another show, which they've been doing. They did the introduction to indies, but I heard the show is going to be 90 minutes, and that's not a fact or anything. That's just from hearing from pretty reliable people. But it's going to be 90 minutes, and it's definitely going to have Starfield, and they're going to show Starfield. They're going to probably date it. They'll show Halo and date it. And then, Forza Horizon, I'm hearing a lot of good. The last couple of days, I've heard more stuff than I've anticipated. I mean, the fact of the matter is they are loaded with announcements. It's just about time to make it and to coordinate it and to show it off. Hellblade thinks, but Hellblade 2 is going to be awesome. I'm telling you that right now. So
and they have to start, because remember they promised when they started buying all these devs, they promised every month was going to be a big game. a AAA game. So
Right.
if that's going to start happening, I'm going to say, first quarter 2022, is going to start,
Right.
start to be it.
Game every quarter was planned. But if you look at it, they have 35 teams working on it. I think, though, yeah, that time's coming where we're going to be like blown away by Game Pass. We all know that's inevitable. There are people though that say, we haven't gotten the game in 700 days and this and that. That's all,
Yeah, that's the worst.
shit. Because
Yeah,
I think
well, but you know what? Like I said, first quarter 2022. I think that's when it's put up or shut up time, and I think that's when it's going to start happening.
Oh yeah, I think Bethesda a lot. They have a lot of cards close to the chest. I think the Arcane's second studio is due for a reveal soon. Roundhouse Studios as well, but I think even Machine Games is due for Wolfenstein 3 pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's
I think people saying that the games aren't coming are just being, well, they are obviously being disingenuous because, I mean, a game like Returnal has been in development for 4 years. That's longer than Phil Spencer and Xbox have had to accumulate studios. So,
Because remember, these games have been worked out way before Xbox, acquired, Bethesda. So, I mean, like I said, now it's put up or shut up time.
Oh yeah, ZeniMax Online.
And the crazy thing is, we're just talking about Bethesda. We're not even talking about any of the other 17, 18 studios.
That's what's so crazy about it is they have, honestly, there is going to come a time where we're just like, wow. And I do think that Xbox has positioned themselves well. They've had some unfortunate things. I heard Flight Simulator when that comes out. People joking around, it's not a game, whatever. It's a simulator, you can joke all you want. What I heard is it's the best looking game on console. And the reason why is because a lot of PCs have a hard time running the game. So not many people are really experiencing this game the way the Series X can display it. Yeah. And what I heard, you're talking about Ratchet and Clank being the best looking game going, that's going to be short lived when Flight Sim comes out, and that's one of their, that's one of the games coming. They do have a lot of games coming, a lot of announcements. I don't think it's time. I think the time to be nervous was when they had 4 studios and like we didn't know anything, and it was like, no, we were just like dying for them to buy even one studio. Now they have 23 studios, and they have a ton of stuff with Xbox Global Publishing. Kojima stuff that Jeff reported on, that is 100% real. I can tell you that for a fact, and that's because I had known something about that, that I never really talked about. But
well, come on, Timmy. Let's hear it, brother. Come on.
But the fact is that they did meet, they did discuss, and Jeff was just when he wrote his thing out and he said that the Kojima was definitely coming, I think you could put that game in the yes category. So you have that game coming. You have IO interactive game that's going to be coming. I mean, there's so much stuff coming that it's just like I said, it's a matter of time with the announcements. A lot of people want a huge E3. I get it. I just like MLD said, though, you are up against something where you can only sell as many as you can, and you could be a little strategic here because until you really have the console out where it could sell readily into everyone that wants it, it's hard to gauge where they're at on that. That's fun.
Yeah, it would be nice to get some more gameplay though, Timmy. Like, because we do have all these games that we do know about. I mean, obviously we know that Flight Sim's coming in August, I believe. But then you have all these like either indie exclusives they got or just other third parties such as the Warhammer Dark Tide, Scorn. I believe General was talking about the Gunk. Even a game that was delayed, like Crossfire X, right? Like there's so many games that we don't know about because they were delayed for one reason or another, or just we haven't heard of. So I would like to see more. Like again, just a couple of solid release dates, even just for games that we know. Stalker, for example, Stalker 2, and it's a few others. Like there's a plethora of games that are exclusive to the platform, even timed. We just need to get again more gameplay and more dates. But yeah, and we also like again, there's a lot of pressure. Like there's not as much pressure since Xbox has so many studios now that they have to constantly like put these studios out there. Serrjn, I was just curious. I mean, there's a few Xbox studios that we haven't heard from in a little while, such as Compulsion Games. Do you think we'll hear something from them?
That's so difficult to tell because I feel like every time if we try and predict what Xbox are gonna do, they do something else. Compulsion, I think COVID hit a lot, especially the Compulsion's probably a smaller studio in Xbox's wheelhouse, so I think it hit a lot of them quite deeply. Compulsion, I would be honest with you, I couldn't even begin to tell you what I think Compulsion's working on. I have no, I have no idea. I feel like their art style is a little similar to Arcane, or maybe I'm just going crazy after playing Dishonored. I felt like there were a few ties with We Happy Few. Don't ask me why. I don't know, but yeah, I think as I said before, I feel like the most important thing about having all these studios is the breathing room that's afforded to all of them. You don't get I don't think you get the Halo delay if the Bethesda acquisition's around the corner. I don't think you get it. I think Halo still comes out with the Series X because they need something to entice customers, and I still think it does. And whatever Halo has to do, and I mean, there's a few things that I've got in my head that I'm working on, but I don't even think that graphics were Halo's biggest problem last year. I think it was more the way it was presented more than anything. So I think that they could easily. Sorry, so they've got the studios buying time for other studios. So I think the confidence to delay Halo was very, very important for Xbox.
And not just that, you also had the fact that a lot of people still couldn't get their hands on these consoles, whether it's the Xbox or the PlayStation. So they're both struggling to keep up with demand. So that's giving them both breathing room, not just COVID, but just the lack of being able to get their hands on the console has really gave them both a big wide berth.
I think that's also that kind of speaks to something that I think Jeff Gordon said the other day about chips not being available or something like that. But the Xbox ecosystem also spans PCs as well, so that's murky waters for me. It's yes, the Series X is out of stock, but then the Series X is out of stock, but at the same time, the Xbox ecosystem's available through PC. People can play these games through their PC. So it's a kind of murky water.
Well, you can also use your Internet Explorer or Chrome or whatever, Firefox, whatever you want. Them announcing that was huge. So they still got a lot of stuff in their pocket, in their back pocket to unleash. So
I am curious. Do people think that Xbox could do a Breath of the Wild where they only bring Halo Infinite to E3?
I think they'll have a lot more than that.
No. Oh yeah. No. That never crossed my mind. No, there's too many to show. It's from Bethesda alone.
No, I mean, no. I don't mean that because I doubt they would do that. But I mean, do we think that Halo Infinite is big enough that they could do that? That's what I mean.
No, because it just goes back to what we were talking about a few, 10 minutes ago. There's too many developers that they bought and they scooped up. There's just too many games that all these developers have been working on that there's just too much stuff in the works that it's not just Halo. Like I said, Halo's going to get their month, they're going to have their month to shine. And then everything else is gonna fall after that.
Yeah. I do agree though. Like logically, they just can't show just that. But that said, now that I'm thinking about it, I mean, you could literally spend time going in depth in the open world to single player campaign. But they haven't revealed the multiplayer. And like when Halo 5 was announced, they announced Warzone as the next big thing. 100%, there's going to be like a next big multiplayer mode for Halo Infinite. And I think they're going to do a whole segment on multiplayer. Like they could stretch that out if they want to. I do think Halo is a big game because not many games are the full package in that they are a massive open world single player game, co-op, split screen, fully fledged competitive multiplayer. Not many games do all of that anymore. Like even with Forge, the map editor, there's so much to show. So I think in theory they could, but logically they gotta show more because right now Halo Infinite it's shouldering all the weight by itself. You gotta lighten the load a little bit, give other games the spotlight.
Well, you know what they say about critics nowadays, they're reviewing campaigns more than they're reviewing the whole package. So
yeah, I know. It's a shame.
Yeah. But again, guys, like Tim was alluding to earlier, we'll probably find out more about what Xbox's E3 plans are going to be. Who knows? It could be tomorrow. It'll be very, very soon. And, I am highly anticipating that we're going to have a good back-to-back showing from Xbox and Bethesda. They're going to show off some, I would say there's some new IP there that they'll be showing off, but also just show all kinds of gameplay for the games that we know about too, especially Halo. I want to see more Halo. I love my Halo.
Well, who doesn't? And the next few weeks, it should be interesting. It's going to be a lot of fun. Starting to hear, the leaks will be coming pretty soon, and it's going to be a lot of fun to speculate.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, plus we got the end of month Halo update.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm sure they're keeping a lot of announcements and things that they're going to just push to E3. So, I don't think you're going to wake up tomorrow and have it's possible, but I don't think we're going to have a Game Pass blowout or anything. Anything that's going to be good news is going to be held for the 3 weeks. I've heard that.
I think the Bethesda announcement just spoiled Mondays. Ever since that announcement, everybody's just been waiting with bated breath. 2 p.m. my time, not your time. I don't know what time.
Right. They also had the, they had the Outriders announcement, and then the show was the huge announcement.
The show was huge. Oh my god,
the robbery!
And it pissed me off because I had just bought the $99 version, and I was like, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great game too. But overall, I when is it? It's the 12th.
I don't think we know.
We're 3 Mondays away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like the 12th to 14th, I think, somewhere there.
Yeah, 12th is a Sunday.
Yeah, sounds right.
Yeah.
So I think that you probably tomorrow an announcement or next week, 2 weeks out. Seems like then you give a lot of people. But again, it's a lot different than it used to be. Nobody has to make travel plans. We used to.
But you know what, Jimmy?
I would be counting the days down on Twitter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're not even without. It's so different. It's so, it's so different than how it was. It's almost forgotten about that we had fan fests and all that stuff. It's great to see though that things are starting to get normal again a little. I mean, I saw the Knicks game. They had 15,000 people at the stadium. I think a lot of people now are, getting vaccinated. And I know that Phil
Well,
loves it. So,
Timmy, I know you're a big MLB fan, and so you're now MLB's. They just announced that they're going to go full capacity on their stadiums. I know Dodger Stadium here come the 15th of June, it's going to be back to normal. So, California, we've been one of the strictest states, when it comes to COVID, and it's
California because of that. Yes, I've heard.
yeah, so it's looking pretty good.
Too. But what I could say is that as far as E3 and FanFest and stuff, like everyone on this panel, if we get a shot and you have a shot, they get back to doing FanFests. South was always a huge guy with the community, brings a lot of people together, and I'm sure next year if we have it, and I do think we will have it. We might not have
Yeah, I do too. Speaking of the people that that are making the rules and making plans, they enjoyed it just as much as we enjoyed it. And you know what I mean? And it's when it came down to it, it was to get in touch with their fans and the reciprocation that they got from the relationship with their fans. There was nothing else like it. So, and it wasn't just E3, Mexico City had theirs, Brazil had theirs, London would have theirs, and obviously Germany would have theirs. So, they did just not just E3. So it's going to be back.
They spent a lot of money with FanFest and a lot of things, resources that they gave to us. What I heard is that they love the fans and they miss them. And part of this E3 is they're kind of like, I wish we had the fans here. You know what I mean? So, the silver lining is that next year, I think, a large part of this podcast might be at E3. And even if they don't do a fan fest and we get into the show, if they continue, it's just that whole week is such a magical week, and the stuff that you can do, the people, community you meet, and it's like it never ends. Like you don't have enough time to do everything that you want because of people like Sal, Megatron, and all of us. We all.
No, I mean, you know what? Hey, Timmy, you know as well as I did. All the friendships that has come out because of the FanFest and E3. Like I think Xbox knows what relationships they helped create when the friendships.
Like Preen, look at David Preen and all the guys that at Xbox. That came to the parties, and we became friends.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, how else would that happen in any other capacity? And when it comes to gaming, like you said, David, we've had so many friendships. It's ridiculous, and I don't mean ridiculous as in like it's bullshit. I mean like it's ridiculous, like how amazing it is.
How rare it really is to have that, to where executives are like meet me here and we'll talk and we're having drinks and we're making jokes and
well I mean obviously this last year and this year we couldn't do it, but prior to these last 2 years, I mean, we've had at least one night that we all got together.
Yep.
And it just grew and grew and grew every year. I mean, it was crazy. We damn near took over bars.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, no, I can't wait for the day that we're all there and we can all like just party at E3 together. Man, oh man. Stupid current world condition kind of put a damper to things, but you know what, guys?
It sure has.
Yeah.
But you know what? Hey, we still are able to get on Xbox Live or or PlayStation, whatever your flavor is. You know what I mean? You're still able to get on gaming online, and like someone said earlier, gaming is just not one way street. It's everything. It's not. It's all inclusive. You know what I mean? So it's just like I said, whatever your flavor is. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful thing, and that's what I love most about gaming is the family that you know. I know I can call Timmy up right now and be like, Timmy, man, you know what? The things are bad. And he'd be like, well, what's up, South? You know what? And I could talk to him for 2 hours and it'd be no problem.
Well, Howie, just like I know your wife, and like my wife was supposed to come out, in 2019 before the whole deal, and it's just like you said, it's a big giant family, and I really like the panel members here. Maybe in Ghost's case, he would go to an XO19 or be in the XO or a Fan Fest over there. But anybody in the States or anybody that can make it if they can, it's really is a magical experience. One of the best experiences of my life was those E3s, and I went to 5 in a row and a Fan Fest, and it's going to be like 2 years since we haven't done anything.
Yeah, so, part of my heart has been missing the last 2 years.
It was real depressing.
Yeah.
And it's just we're just telling people because it's going to come back, and you know
what. And it sucks because when we bring up, E3 and the times that we have and the the meetups, it's not bragging. It's just because as you know, Timmy, we invite everybody. It's not just like, oh no. It's only a certain group of people. No, we if you know us, you're invited. You know what I mean? And that's like I said, that's the beautiful part about it, and that's what's missed so much. Megatron would get the Friday night, he'd have the rooftop going off on the tallest bar the west of the Mississippi. You know what I mean? And we're all there. You got one of the biggest PlayStation guys and what's it called? Hip hop gamer, you know what I mean? Like it's just, it doesn't matter. All walks of life were welcome, and it was just a beautiful thing, and it was the camaraderie. It was just amazing, and I don't see it. There's no way it is going away.
No, absolutely, South. And
because the execs, they like it just as much as we do.
Oh yeah, you can see that they're having a good time too. And again, I can't wait for everyone to get back to all that, and again we can all party it up. We got in the chat here Dirt Griggity with the $5 super chat. What's going on, TXR? Good to see GeneralMLD on. E3 2021 is gonna be a lot of fun. Yeah, buddy, I totally agree with that.
Beautiful. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. We will move on to some other things, guys, another subject. And you know what? We're starting to hear news again of AT&T potentially wanting to sell off its gaming assets. The company will be merging Warner Media with Discovery to form a new standalone company. And according to a spokesperson, some of the gaming arm will stay with AT&T and some will go to this new company, whatever it's going to be called or whatnot. There's speculation that we'll see some of these studios sold off. I mean, that wouldn't be necessarily wrong, considering that like the gaming arm was supposed to be shopped around last summer.
I don't see it. You know why? Because look, we just had Mortal Kombat. The movie just came out, and it was one of the biggest things for HBO Max. In the last several months. So I don't see them really selling off their arm of the gaming. It's just it's too much. There's too much money in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to get sticky with the if there is any returns to negotiations. I think it'll be the IP rights, like the licensing rights. I think that's gonna the cost there might be a make or break
Well,
deal.
well, the big one is DC. You know what I mean? Just look
Yeah,
at that.
yeah.
I just do not see Warner or AT. Well, because AT&T they sold to Discovery, so I just don't see. Obviously, DC is a big part of why Discovery, put up the money to get that wing. So I don't see it. I don't see them selling it off. And if they were, I think we'd already be having rumors about it already.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, it's fairly new news, and we just got Bethesda like recently just acquired officially. I mean, I think personally, I think if DC licensing is off the table and the studios alone might not be enough to sweeten the deal, I'm thinking maybe NetherRealm might be cut loose. I don't know. I mean, Xbox does need a fighting studio, so I
Mm-hmm.
mean that'd be where my guess is if this was going to be a real thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, obviously that's a big fish in a small pond. To have another realm. Mortal Kombat would be huge for Xbox to scoop up, or even PlayStation to scoop up. You know what I mean? Obviously, they're not just gonna go for one company to put a filler out. But like I said, I still think that that's too much money, too much income. Because there's so much debt that AT&T had to carry. Because right now, I believe AT&T still has 71% of the company. And Discovery got 29. If I may be incorrect, but I believe that's what it was. So basically AT&T when they bought it, they thought, oh, it's going to be easy. We're just going to start making, we'll start hiring this person, that person, and over the last couple of years, it hasn't really happened the way that they anticipated. So I really think that if nothing big happens in the next couple of years, then I'd have to eat my words and say, okay, you know what? I think they are going to sell off their stakes and their shares or their IPs to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just my opinion.
Well, guys, let's look at the list of studios here because, I mean, we talk about NetherRealms. There's also Rocksteady Studios, which obviously has done the Batman Arkham games. I think they're working on the, what is it called?
Gotham
They're working on
Knights.
the Suicide Squad versus Justice League.
Yeah, that's right. It's a Suicide Squad game. So they got that in the works. There's also Monolith Productions. They worked on they're known for like the Fear games as well as they worked on the Lord of the Rings, the Shadow of War games as well.
Well, yes, you remember they got all the Lord of the Ring games they've been pretty big, not huge hits like we anticipated, but still they're semi pretty good hits. And like I said, I think there's just too much money that part of their income and to make money or to help with that debt that they created, buying Warner Brothers and Warner Media.
Mm-hmm. Well, supposedly the gaming arm is worth about, if I'm not mistaken, like about $4 billion, which, I mean, considering Microsoft bought Bethesda for what, 7.5 billion. I mean, it's not unforeseen that they could, I don't know, get them, or at least a couple of studios.
Like I said, I don't think it's impossible, but I just don't think that it's feasible right now. Because they simply just, like I said, because they need to clear off some of that debt that is created by buying. And I now, like I said, I'm not the best with the numbers, but it seems to me they paid 70 something billion for the whole shebang.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, listen, I do think if Bethesda wasn't purchased, that there would be a different kind of atmosphere going around about it. But being that Xbox is 25 to 23 studios, a big undertaking, Xbox Publishing, which supposedly has 3 games. There's a lot of oversight. This one.
Now, and I think Sony would be more feasible if they didn't go and buy what's it called here recently.
I don't think. I think Sony should be looking to them, but I just think it's too big of money. But
Right? No, because they just bought damn.
Well, they just
What's it
invested lots of money into Epic.
Well, they just bought what's it called?
Evo?
Evo, yeah.
Insomniac. Yeah.
Insomniac. Yeah, they just bought Insomniac. I think that took a big chunk of because we all know Sony doesn't really have that kind of money. They're I mean, what's really keeping them afloat is Spider-Man. And they really don't own it that like they would love to have.
Oh yeah, and they put $450 million into Epica as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
With a little shady, but whatever. The fact is that though, I do think that what I've heard that the people at the studios are very nervous that they're going to get railroaded when this deal goes through. And to be honest, I could see studio closures. I could see them really not giving a shit. AT&T,
there's going to be a lot of talent here,
right.
On the table here real soon.
Do you buy something that's messy, or do you just wait until the inevitable and then pick up the talent after they get fired?
I mean, you seen what happened with what's it called? Shit, my memory's so terrible. I think it's the COVID related, memory loss. But who created Rise? That was.
You're talking about Crytek?
Crytek.
They started selling off their IPs. Yeah. So you just kind of wait for the pickings. The crows are circling. We'll just.
I do think though, if there is a deal to be made, Microsoft definitely will be in there. I just think like Mild says, the MLD, it's a messy situation, and I don't think also Xbox has to be a savior to anybody. This sounds like mismanagement by AT&T. Rocksteady, what's going on with Rocksteady is pretty shitty. They made a lot of good, awesome games, and they just haven't done anything for a long time now.
Oh, amazing games!
Yeah, and I just think AT&T unfortunately doesn't view gaming as paramount as as they once did, or I kind of feel like they're just really worried about knocking down the debt, and I do think it was much closer when they originally talked. I think Xbox was definitely in there.
Yeah, what about a year ago, right? It was more feasible about a year ago when all the rumors, because there was quite a few people talking about it, and now you're not hearing about it. So I like I said, I just don't see it happening. Give it a year or a year and a half, 2 years. If you start hearing the rumors, then I'll be more feasible, and I would think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it might be worth it for the talent, because there's no way that they're going to get the price that they were asking for originally from anybody. If there's no licensing, if there's no deal for that.
No, because it was, the rumors before it was just for the studios. It wasn't for the IPs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But the price was something ridiculous they were asking for. I think it was what was it, $4 billion that they're asking for? That was rumored or something.
Mm-hmm.
So
and like I said, it didn't include their IPs, so it wasn't
not going to be paying that, and then no one else is probably probably the case. But if the price comes down because they can't get anybody to buy it for say $4 billion, if that comes down quite a bit, the talent that's at WB Games is pretty good. So. Those would still be great pickups as far as to
Rocksteady would be a hell of a dev to pick up.
Day one Game Pass, and it's only on Xbox, supported platforms. That would be pretty big. So,
everybody's
knowing
talking
Xbox.
About.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Serrjn.
I was gonna say knowing Xbox though, they'll pull a death loop where they'll honor the contract. So Outer Worlds. they'll say this game will honor the contract. It'll be multi-platform, but you'll get it on Game Pass day one. But the next game will only be on Xbox. But I feel like that's just gonna be years before you truly see the fruits that just benefit Xbox. I mean, I'm just going back to NetherRealm because because they own their IP. Mortal Kombat is theirs. And I feel like that is a lot of rich gaming history there. And to own a piece of that gaming history, I think that would be a lot more better than like say DC DC licensing up in the air, you know?
Man, I am so glad
they
he
can still
went
bring back
before
Fear.
me.
Like they'd have that IP. They could revitalize that with a solid team. That'd be great. That'd be a big surprise at like E3 show. So there's still some IP there that they could really bank on that are big names.
To piggyback off the NetherRealm thing, excuse me, I had this big debate with the guys on the Shop podcast yesterday. I'm standing behind NetherRealm because I fully agree on the fact that it is really hard to find a developer nowadays that really knows how to make a really good fighter. No offense to any of the other devs over there at WB Games, but finding a developer that knows how to make an engaging fighter is almost like a talent in itself. And the Mortal Kombat franchise is a franchise in my mind, and I'm glad General here said it, that I feel like is going to stick with NetherRealm because we're talking about a franchise that actually got its roots in gaming. The ESRB pretty much was invented because of games like Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. Fatalities. I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah. Well, the green blood, all that fun stuff. And so I just don't feel like WB Games can come in and just take that one away because it's not a big screen proprietary piece of entertainment. It got its roots in gaming, and then we got the movie. And I just feel like WB Games is really not WB Games, AT&T, whoever's really in control of what's left of the purse strings. I feel like they've been trying to make some bank off of the IPs that they've had. That's why we've seen RoboCop appear in the games. We've seen not Jason Voorhees, excuse me. What is it? Rambo.
No.
But
Freddy.
in games, now in Mortal Kombat 10 or Mortal Kombat X, we had Predator, Alien, Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers. The fact that NetherRealm Studios shows their flexibility in, hey, we could take Alien versus Predator. We could take Jason Voorhees versus Michael Myers. Or hell, let's get some Master Chief and Atriox in here. Let's really create a Game Pass style game that would really redefine the arcade fighter genre. And let's bring in some of the
bring in Master Chief versus the Doom guy, you know?
Oh, yeah. So that was another one to be able to play because now we've got Bethesda. So now we could have a guy fighting as the Brotherhood of Steel in the Brotherhood of Steel armor. We got the Doom Marine. I mean, the sky's the limit.
Killer Instinct, guys. The obvious choice there.
Well, I don't go.
Oh, yeah. Well, Killer Instinct versus Mortal Kombat. I mean, that's aside from what's it called? Street Fighter. That's almost the same par. You know, that would be huge.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't go grabbing for not Street Fighter. Killer Instinct right away. Because didn't somehow a different like developer or publisher like somehow kind of throw a monkey wrench in the situation with that franchise?
Well, the one that picked up the mantle, they've said recently that they would be up for, doing a sequel.
Iron Galaxy.
If they get the chance.
Iron Galaxy.
Yeah. Iron Galaxy.
And they did a pretty good job picking up, and they fully fleshed out the game and actually completed the game. So I would say just keep them on that because they know what they're doing, and that's different. It's a completely different style of fighting game from like Mortal Kombat. So I wouldn't want them to be like, oh, now they're bringing in like super gore fatalities. Like, just keep those separate. They're definitely different games. So I would say pick them up. That just so you have them locked down, and Killer Instinct can be an awesome fighter for just kind of like you have NetherRealm locked down with Mortal Kombat. That series is in good hands. So.
I was going to say, did you guys catch that? I think it was either sometime middle last year. I can't really remember. There was this Killer Instinct documentary. I've forgotten what it's called, but it was a very interesting insight as to how Microsoft lost Double Helix to Amazon Games. And it goes into why they had to switch to Iron Galaxy, because they had
But
Double
no, that
Helix.
happened way before. No. That happened way before that deal went through.
No.
Can someone tell me why?
I'm saying the documentary. There was a documentary last year about the situation, but the situation happened ages ago.
Yeah.
But they go
really.
into, yeah.
Invader, is there any way you can link that at the bottom? Because I definitely like, if you can find it, I definitely like to watch that.
Well, I haven't watched it myself, but continue on, Serrjn.
Yeah, I'll have to remember what it's called. I'll find it. I don't know what I should have just favorited it. I'm an idiot.
Well, no, if we can get it in our description, if we can have it, linked that for our listeners as well, it'd be nice.
Yeah. So it just goes, to cut the long story short, it just goes into how they arrived at Double Helix as the developers, and then how they lost Double Helix to Amazon Games, and how they had to switch to Iron Galaxy. And it's a very interesting 45 minutes. Yeah. So if I can find it, I won't be able to find it now because I can't for the life of me remember what it's called.
Yeah. Well, Iron.
Yeah.
No, it's just Double Helix. I mean, it was really interesting because they they weren't known for fighting games by any means, but they got a pretty strong team behind them. They showed Microsoft the different concepts, and they were able to get a good quality fighting game out within like a year's development time.
Yeah, well, what's his name that took over after he left Sony, and he took over? They really blossomed, when it came to that particular game, and so I definitely like to watch that documentary.
Yeah. But yeah, guys, I mean, either way, it's like the whole thing with WB and whatnot, whether it be like Microsoft could be interested, who knows, or anybody else. Like it seems like AT&T are gonna ship them off at some point. There's a lot of buyers at the moment. We'll see what happens, but again, interesting times. And you know what, guys? On that note, we'll move on to what will probably be our last topic tonight. And some interesting stuff making the rounds. And according to some leaks, Microsoft is rumored to be working on an Xbox modding platform to make it easier for Xbox players to add to their games, like different mods and so on. And according to this news information, because of Xbox's involvement since the buyout of Bethesda, the creation engine has been overhauled and even better for mods. Microsoft is said to be using the upcoming Starfield and creation engine to finalize a new platform-wide modding system for Xbox consoles. Shock, I know you're into modding. You're quite the hardware tinkerer and all that. Earlier this gen, Xbox opened up its system to Fallout mods, so it's a little bit limited, but it's still there. Could we see Starfield getting this mod support from Xbox?
Definitely, I would think so, because that was big for like last gen, because I think you had modding on the like Fallout 4, but you didn't have it like on, or I guess Sony wasn't allowing it on their platforms. But yeah, I mean, especially since they're integrating and kind of like catering to PC, that's definitely going to be big for them, and especially for Bethesda games. That's definitely a big, because those games sell a lot on PC, and there's a huge mod community for those games that Bethesda makes. So yeah, I mean, that makes sense for them, because Bethesda's, more the majority of their studios now. So, I mean, it sounds like a, great push for them, a great idea to like really cater to, and please PC gamers, not just Xbox, but really branch out their platform. So,
yeah, I mean, it's really good for for people like me who are just primarily console only gamers. Like playing mods on Fallout 4, that was like Like that was just a whole new thing. Like usually that I think that was the first time I actually used mods on a console game. So I mean, if this is one of those things that Xbox can really use to differentiate itself, I think it's just great for gamers all around. It's good that they're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad you brought up the mods for Fallout 4 because that was like my first experience with it too. And then I kind of noticed that Bethesda took it a step further with because mods were basically, sometimes it was like the roll of the dice. You could get a bad mod, you could get a good mod. And then they came out with the store where you could actually, it was like a form of currency that you could buy to actually buy mods that had actually been tested and optimized. So there was like no risk involved. And I remember buying some of those ones just to kind of spruce up my Fallout 4 colonies that I had been building over the days of playing that game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's like what kind of mods do you remember adding to your like to your game since you're in? Like was it for like armor customization, weapons, or like
There was armor customization. There was mods to gain different building materials. There was one mod where you could start having arcade games in your colonies that actually functioned. You could play a game on them. There was mods where you could somehow make the wasteland have foliage and be a growing, living, like almost like forest. Like all of a sudden everything started growing. There was a lot of fun ones that I played around with. Some that caused a little bit of havoc, and it was also kind of weird because the mod would somehow get in different saves that you would have. So you would actually have to go further back in your saves if you got a hold of a bad mod, just to kind of work that mod out of your game completely. And you would have to just kind of start playing from that point. Otherwise, parts of the mod would still kind of show up here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's good that you mentioned that because it gives, certain people that want to get involved into that modding, community. It gives them a starting point. You know what I mean? And like you said, it gives them a spot where, oh shit, I messed up. So you know what? I'm gonna have to go back and start, from square one, which basically they can give themselves an in or an out. And you know what I mean? So yeah, that's definitely a cool thing,
Mm-hmm.
I dig it. I dig it,
So
and
some of these
again,
modding
it's positive.
communities go pretty deep, and there's mods that are full-blown expansions for these games. Like you can go on the PC
Right.
right now and play an expansion of Skyrim that did not ever make it to console. Hell, it was never in the PC release. It was done by a bunch of fans of the game that took the time to actually use the mod system, because that was one thing that was cool, that Bethesda basically opened up almost basically the developer kit. It was like, hey, this is the tools and stuff we use to kind of create the game. Let's see what you can do. And they've allowed people to go in and create these mods, and these fans have gone in and created full-blown expansions that add on to these games, going way beyond, in my opinion, probably what Bethesda ever thought anybody would do with a mod.
Mm-hmm. That's right, and it's interesting too because, like, as the geeky nerd points out in the chat, it's kind of crazy how many of these mods actually fix the games, right? Whether it be like,
yeah, I've actually seen those too. Yeah, there's mods to fix glitches, and it's blatantly obvious it's all to fix the certain glitch. It'll actually show you. They do have mods that do that.
yeah,
I completely forgot about that.
or just like
Yeah,
to fix lighting and so on. Go ahead.
No, just leave it to the community to just like fix the problems because they don't want to wait that long.
No, and
Well, that's what PC modding originally kind of got a little popular for, was like everybody kind of was like, well, if you ain't going to create these patches, I'm going to do it my damn self. And then pretty soon, people were just like, oh, well, we can also alter the game. We can do this, we can do that. And it just kind of like grew into like almost like its own culture.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, for our benefit, yeah, it's good.
Oh yeah, no.
Like I know, like for Fallout 4, like I did not like in the opening neighborhood, Sanctuary, I think it was called.
Mhm.
How like it had all these like dilapidated houses and all the leaves on the ground that you just it just wasn't like it was an eyesore. It was ugly. I don't know. I got the mod that took out everything. Like your opening neighborhood was just a flat piece of land, so I can make exactly all the buildings I wanted to make. Like that was the mod I used. I tinkered with the most. But just things like that, like it was so crazy what people could think of.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. Like, it's just amazing what the community can come up with. And really, I mean, Xbox is all about, again, that community engagement. And I could totally see them branching out this, the mods within the creation engine, and just like let people, like, let these digital artists roam free, I guess you could say. Serrjn, like, what do you think about all this, like the modding stuff? Like, could you see Xbox opening up its platform to modding more?
Yeah, I think that's the kind of trajectory that they're on. Is I mean, if you remember the kind of really closed nature sort of the Xbox One, and we've sort of been just going more and more to an open nature, especially with the game development kit that they're developing to have games across Xbox, PC, tablet, etc., etc. I can see it just being cracked wide open, because they're becoming less restrictive about what they have on this about what they have on their system. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, the Xbox of today with mods and things like that. Can you imagine that in 2013, 2014? No, they were so strict.
No, not at all.
They were
Yeah,
so
yeah,
strict.
yeah.
And now, I mean, I think, and I would probably say that was a major stipulation in the Bethesda contract, is that you've got to open up modding on your platform, otherwise no sale.
You
And
know, and I think it definitely would be, it's like, hey, you know, you're taking a risk right here, so just be prepared that you might screw up your whole shit. So just know this
yeah,
might, potentially
Well,
fuck your whole system up.
well, it would be in
So,
the details, right? They'll let you
right,
know.
right, definitely, yeah, no, definitely. But just as long as people know, hey, warning, warning, warning. You might really mess up some stuff. So just know what. Be prepared that your shit might be screwed.
yeah. I mean, they're already. I guess you could say FPS boost is kind of a mod. So they kind of say,
Yeah,
hey,
well,
mod.
it just gives people, because like there's a lot of people that like to just mess around and figure it out themselves, and just say, hey, I'm just curious about digging my way into this hole and see if I can climb out of it myself, and if not, I'm sure there's back doors to get yourself back, back to however you started. So,
And if anyone at Xbox is listening, could you just turn on the FPS boost for Dishonored 2, please? I've completed Dishonored 1. Now I want to jump into Dishonored 2, but 30 frames per second, I just can't do it.
Yeah, well, we'll see what we can do. Maybe some guys are listening here. But actually,
E3 Shadow Drop.
well, that's another thing too. I mean, we might get some more Bethesda games in Game Pass and whatnot. That'd be cool. And yeah, with those enhancements, that would be fantastic. Maybe who knows? Maybe Dishonored 2 and whatnot. But yeah, this whole modding thing, like again, like it's not something I'm big into, but at the same time, it's just interesting to see where Xbox is going with this. They used to be such a like consoles are known for being such a closed platform, and now within the past few years we've been seeing them opening up more, well, again, like not just with modding but with cloud and whatnot. But you also, like, you see what their rivals are doing, like Nintendo's kind of like really closed. You look at PlayStation, they're not as bad, but they're still a pretty closed system, and Xbox is just really opening up. They're embracing the whole like PC console kind of ecosystem. It just makes sense to have those mods like transfer over to Xbox consoles, and I think it's pretty cool. I mean, I might be more encouraged now to give them a shot, right? So, like Serrjn, from what you're saying, I mean, it sounds like they got some pretty damn cool mods out there.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, I will say there's very few things that make me ever want to consider PC gaming, and mods and Fallout were one of them.
All right.
It's just a shame though how achievements are disabled. Like I feel like for cosmetic mods, you shouldn't disable achievements for it. It kind of turned me off in terms of playing Fallout 4 like that.
It's actually worse than just it's one even for a cosmetic, because technically you're altering an armor. What about the mod for fixing some of the glitches in the game? That's what you're basically getting. You're getting penalized for turning on a mod that fixed a lighting glitch.
Exactly. I think they could definitely tweak some things, like at least keep achievements on for certain mods, like have categories of game-changing mods and cosmetic mods.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah,
they probably tried to flick that switch and it messed up about 50 million other things. They just said just turn the whole thing off.
yeah, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, you also got to be careful with like online kind of matchmaking and multiplayer and whatnot. So you got to be protective there too. But otherwise, though, yeah, when it comes to like single player stuff and just screwing around, playing around with the canvas and so on. Yep, I say let them have their fun. But that's
gentlemen, you know what? I hate to break up the party, but I gotta get going. But you know what? I'll be back next week, and I just wanted to say I love y'all and anybody out there listening. And if you forgot about me, I haven't forgotten about you, and I just want to salute you all. And I miss everybody, and I'll catch you back next week. And until then, you guys have a wonderful week.
Yeah, nice meeting you.
Too.
all right.
Yeah, nice meeting you. See you later.
Yeah, good stuff, South. Have a good one. All right, gentlemen. Well, I think on that note too, I think we're gonna start closing off tonight's show, and we did dive into a lot of stuff like the whole BioMutant resolution fiasco going on, WB Games getting possibly shopped around, and the talk around Xbox and Bethesda doing a joint conference, and so much more from around the industry. And I gotta say, hey guys, it was a fun chat, between the panel. As well, I can't forget everybody in the chat, that decided to come and listen in and participate. Thank you very much, guys like the Geeky Nerd, Logic Wins, Mike Lowry, 108 Dragons, Hey Lemon, so many more, Dinero, Primero, Hey Diego, Graphic God, and so many more. We really appreciate the support, guys, and so on. Again, guys, if you really if you really enjoyed the show, then consider dropping a like, sharing this out, and subbing for more content. Now let's go over to some of these outros, and I'll start with our guests, going over to GeneralMLD. Bud, it was a real treat having you here. Lots of really good commentary from you, and just again, great to have you back on the YouTube scene. Period. Where can everybody follow you at?
Oh yeah, thank you. YouTube name is GeneralMLD. Twitter is at MLD Ghost. Overall, it's been pretty good. I've been entertaining the idea of coming back for some time. Like people still ask me what happened, a lot of stuff. I think I'll make a video on that soon enough. But overall, I love the energy. I love that. The YouTube scene is very prominent now. There's Xbox content creators, big and small, and that is amazing. That's what I've always wanted. Like I started in the first place all those years ago because there was nobody, and now I'm coming back, and it's just like it is a lot better to be an Xbox fan. And now there's just like all these prominent ones where we're all just chatting each other up. It's a lot of camaraderie. Like we're sticking together, standing up for ourselves. It's much better now than it was then, and I'm just happy to be a part of it again. And it's always a great feeling just having people say they remembered me from back in the day and they're happy I'm back now, and it's just so much fun. Like I could never stay away for too long. It was always just that feeling of it's always that thrill of the debate, because I love gaming. I love talking about ideas in gaming. it never left me. So I'm just glad to be back. And thanks for having me. I really appreciate the invite.
Yeah, anytime, brother. Got to get you on again sometime. Let's see here. And of course, moving over to our other guest from the evening, Serrjn. It was, again, great having you on, but I know you got a YouTube channel, and you know what? It is pretty entertaining, to say the least. Good. You had some really good points tonight as well. Where can everybody follow you at, bud?
You can follow me on Twitter, same name, Serjn. YouTube, same name, Serjn, trying to keep the brand consistency, so to speak. Yeah, and mostly right now I'm just uploading content, seeing what sticks. Sometimes I spend a little too much time editing just to see what works. I kind of just sit there, spend way too long on certain things. And I mean, if you look at my YouTube, there's only a couple. There's only a couple of videos there that you can just go through, but well, I like them. So um, and yeah, you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter as well. Just general. I'm always up for a chat about video games in general. I mean, if you subscribe to the YouTube, then if you subscribe to YouTube, then you'll be able to get the next few videos. I try to upload as frequently as possible, which is to say not that much, because I have ideas, and usually the idea that I want to put out is not the idea that ends up coming out. So it's always something else. But yeah, thank you for having me on here today. It's been great to get into all of this, and yeah, just enjoy talking about video games, Xbox in general, as well. So if people haven't watched the latest video, I tried to put a few teasers on my Twitter as well, because I know people are kind of apprehensive about, oh, it's a 15-minute video, but okay, yeah, fine, here's a little tidbit, snack on that. If you like it, go watch the full video. If you don't, then oh well, hopefully you stick around and I can try again with the next video. So but yeah, thank you for having me on here. It's actually my first podcast, by the way. I've never been on a podcast before.
Really good job.
Yeah, no, thanks very much, man. Oh yeah, and thank you to Tim as well. Tim kind of just said, you know what, no, if you're gonna keep hitting me with these videos, then you got to come, put your money where your mouth is and come talk on the podcast. It's all right, Tim. You pull my leg. So
I like your videos. And the latest one, you definitely put a lot of work, but you had me laughing a lot of times. So
I'm glad for that, because if whatever the YouTube channel becomes, I'm just more focused on trying to make people laugh, make it entertaining. Yeah, in the videos I may talk a lot about. I mean, I'll probably talk more about what PlayStation is doing in terms of, I guess, what they're not doing. But every now and then, I mean, you saw at the end of the video, I had that little dig about Xbox having no games. I mean, that was just it's really silly. But that's because I feel like the Xbox community can laugh a little bit more about things like that, which is why I thought, hey, I don't think I'm going to get any blowback from that. I don't think I'm going to get any blowback from that. So it was just a little cheeky thing, because yeah,
I think it's obvious though that you're just talented and you're having fun with it, and keep making them. Like I told you, it takes time. Well, with creators, it takes a lot of time. But
yeah. No, thanks very much.
No, thank you for coming on.
Mm-hmm.
No, thank you very much.
Yeah, Serrjn, again, it was great having you on, and yeah, we'll definitely have you back at some point. Guys, check out his channel, Serrjn, same name. It's pretty entertaining, to say the least. Okay, we'll move over to TXR regulars, and hey, Tim, buddy, hey, really good stuff tonight as per usual. Where can all the viewers and listeners follow you at?
You can follow me on Twitter, xCloudTimDog. Great show, great panel. Loved the guests, MLD and Serrjn. Like I said, fans of both of them, and definitely give them a look. As far as our show, the show, general, good show. Sorry I came in late. If there is a game 7 next week in New York, depending on time, I don't know. I'm going to it, so I don't know if I'll be here. But just a great show, and nice to have South back too.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right, moving over to Shockley, buddy. Hey, good show, man. Again, loved your points tonight. Where can our viewers follow you at, buddy?
Yeah, like always, you can find me at Shock Nero on Twitter, Easy Shock on Xbox Live. But yeah, thanks for stopping by. Good show, awesome topics, and yeah, hopefully we got a couple, 2-3 weeks. Looking forward to that E3. So maybe we should do I don't know if you guys want to do like a live reaction, TXR, but.
We'll talk about that, Shock.
I know a couple of us. I think I did it with Megatron. I think we did a kind of like a with. I think it was Dragon. I think it was his stream, but last year. But yeah, good topics today, and thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, we'll talk about that too. Depends on how all the schedules line up. But yeah, no, that would be cool though. I totally agree. We'll go into detail about that. Serrjn, buddy. Hey, always entertaining with Serrjn on the panel. Where can everybody follow you in your hot tub Twitch exploits, buddy?
Wow. Holy cow, man. You weren't supposed to tell anybody, man. That was supposed to be like a reveal for my fans only, or however that website's pronounced. Anyway.
OnlyFans, yeah.
Huh?
I think it's OnlyFans.
OnlyFans,
yes, that's right. Yes. So, for those interested in finding me in my current platforms, thinking about expanding to more, you can find me at Serrjn1307 on YouTube, Twitter, and of course Xbox Live. You can also find me every Saturday night on the Shop Podcast, and you can also find me right here every Sunday night on the TXR Podcast.
Alrighty, good stuff. And naturally, guys, this is Invader. You guys can find me on YouTube at Invader Gaming. I'm also on a number of other content creation sites such as BitChute and Minds. I'm all over the place to say the least, but I like putting my content out there. Excellent show tonight, and as always, we look forward to seeing you all here next Sunday. Take it easy, folks. Have a good one.